guys, I'm working on my Bissell Cleanview 3590. Pretty much just getting it ready so I can do a really nice comparison when my Cleanview 2 3574, I believe. It's a Cleanview 2, I know that. But it's basically, it's like a Power Force bagless, even though the Power Force bagless came after the Cleanview 2. It's got the upper area with the little cone thing, and then, but it's got a double tank down here, so it's got the cylinder filter and a bigger, taller tank. Kind of looks like this, but with the filter on the, like literally like this is what this Cleanview 2 is going to be, except there's two pieces locked together. This is based off of a Bissell Power Force Helix, not the newest one, but the one before the newest one. I actually brought this easy vac back up from the basement and cleaned it up a little, glued the bin together. Found a crevice so it doesn't fit, the hose is still drying. It's got paint splatter all over it. I polished this side, so it's not over here anymore, but I still gotta do the rest and the bin. Probably gonna get a new bin. But this is the Cleanview. I'm gonna turn the flash on. Obviously, a Cleanview 2 is on the way, and I just wanted, I'm gonna want to do like a little comparison between the two when I unbox the new one. I hope you guys aren't mad at me for spoiling the fact that a Cleanview 2 is on the way, but I think I did in the last video. I'm pretty sure I showed you the listing, but yeah, so Cleanview 2 is on the way. I really like this one, but I wanted a Cleanview 2 just so I could have the original Cleanview design plus a Cleanview 2 with the with this like cylinder filter on the bottom design. This looks really dirty back in there because I've never really cleaned back in there before. I've cleaned this whole machine really well, but I've never had that apart in there. Everything below it is nice and clean, and everything above it is nice and clean, and that all that tubing back there is clean. But I also just cleaned the headlight lens, even though there's no headlight anymore. It's got the Helix motor in it, but... And obviously this has the brush roll for my 71Y7. It needs new end caps. This end cap's okay, but it's not necessarily beautiful. But this one is the one that actually needs to be replaced. It's completely rounded out. You can see all those... See how there's little grooves on the axle, and there's supposed to be grooves in this end cap, but they're gone. So the axle kind of spins inside this end cap, which is not what you want. Oops. I did recently oil up these bearings. These ones you can't really get apart like the Eureka ones, like the ones on my Eurekas. You can really just pop that rubber thing right out and put some grease in there. These ones you cannot do that with, unfortunately, so I kind of just had to do what I did here, and I just yeah. Oops, just popped the bearing out. Yeah, so that's the brush roll. I've already wiped it down. I might end up just getting a new brush roll because this brush roll alone is really beat up. The bristles are pretty short now, and they're not really stiff anymore. So, yeah. Well, it still performs good, and I don't know what the heck happened there. But yeah, I've got my wax and dry, and it makes things look nice and shiny. Obviously, you clean with this first, and then once everything's dry, you go over it with the wax to protect it. So yeah, I've just been cleaning down here. I would normally soak this in a bathtub, but the motor mounts are so messed up on this thing that I don't want to take it apart. And yes, just drench everything. I actually polished the top on this because I removed some of the paint marks, and some of the paint drips that I removed left like this faded black underneath them. So yeah, I had to polish it. Mr. Clean where I didn't want it. But yeah. Now this, you normally just let it soak for a second. You can see my motor axle actually looks pretty good. Obviously it's got the Helix motor in it, so I gotta keep it clean in here because dirt can actually fly into that hole and get into the motor area. No problem whatsoever. So, like, right in there is the motor. So, I actually should have been a little more careful in the process of spraying back here, because some probably got on the motor, but it's alright. And the motor actually moves around a little bit in the motor housing. I don't know if you guys saw that movement, but it does move a little bit. But once the belt's on there, it stays put. Obviously, you can only get this so perfect. I just don't like a lot of dust to be back there. I put grease on here, this metal thing last time I was in there, because with the way this Helix motor, the belt like runs a little bit over here and it rubs on this metal. So I put grease on there so it wasn't just shredding through my belt like crazy. Because I don't have any belts right now because I have been working on vacuums and a lot of them needed new belts. So yeah. This is actually cleaning up pretty nice down here. I always put protectant on this spot, especially if you can find an original cleanview in this good of shape right here. Like, there's like no scratches on the bottom of this. It looks scratched because it's got water streaks on it now, but this is just some Mr. Clean. It's mostly water though. I don't like running a lot of chemical just because when vacuums get old like this, they kind of get like brittly and weird, and chemicals don't help with that. So that's also why I use the quick wax, because it kind of helps almost seal up the plastic better, so it's a little bit more durable, which it needs to be, because I actually am kind of addicted to this thing. Like, I love using this one. So everything has been washed. There's the filter there. I made a homemade rag filter because this, after being washed so many times, it's like smaller, so it like doesn't fit all the way around. So the little bit that it doesn't catch, I have the rag there to catch it. I washed the bin. There's some like dust on there from sitting like this because it's been like this for a couple of days. And I've been vacuuming, and vacuuming obviously kicks up dust, so. Plus, it almost seems like there's a little bit of dust that the water didn't get. Obviously, these parts on these cleanviews always clean up real nice. I still want to wipe it out in here a little bit. Although, for what this thing is, it doesn't get too dirty in here. Not like what you would expect. I also washed this filter. This one's also shrank a little bit. You can see. But I might buy a new set for it. Probably not, though. Just because this thing is not really... I don't know what that thing is, but it's there. And it just push it in. Well, I think it's like some kind of like... I don't know, something. So that like, if the filter gets clogged, it can still bleed. I don't know. It's weird, whatever it is. So you just kind of I already sprayed it down. This I like to let soak for a while because that's the part that gets dirty and it gets into all these like sandblasted areas. So you want to let it soak for a second to get all the dirt out of there. If I can ever get that spot very well. Even this Mr. Clean that's mostly water actually erodes the dirt pretty well. This Mr. Clean pretty much makes all my vacuums look the way they do. Like this power room looks pretty good. Obviously this quick wax also helps. That power room is probably at its best right now. Same with that. I've polished the window on that one and polished the bin on that one, so that's why that one looks so good. This one I'm working on right now, I actually polished the red part, and I was not expecting it to turn out this good. It was super faded. This is where a sticker was, so it's kind of like funky, but I polished it because it let me peeling the sticker off got a lot of fine scratches, and I want to get rid of some of them at least, so I did. I polished it. Didn't take it down to the motor because it's all falling apart, and I didn't want to risk that. Like it's cracked right there, and this whole back piece is just cracked all over the place. But I'll never get rid of this thing because it was my first vacuum, so. And then this Easy Vac was my second vacuum, so I'll never get rid of either of these. Well, I might get one of each, like a new Easy Vac, but one for collecting purposes because this one's obviously not the best, and maybe another one of these, but in a different color scheme because I like red, but sometimes it's cool to have a little bit of different color. I mean, red is kind of my ideal choice. I mean, I do have a lot of blue, but I think they made like a green dirt that like it's similar color to this, and I kind of like that. One thing I like about even the newer Dirt Devils is there's quite a bit of colors that they do. So, I mean, for vacuum collectors, Bissell vacuum collectors, the only reason we have so much Bissells is because different color schemes. I mean, like the Bissell Cleanview 2 Deluxe and the Bissell Cleanview Plus, I'm pretty sure they're like the same thing, but the Cleanview Plus is like a slightly different color scheme. I think it might have a slightly shorter core, and that's about it. So we mostly just do it for the colors, different colors. Obviously, this shroud piece is stuck in here. It's rusted in and stuff, so I'm not gonna take any risks there. You can see if you let it soak, it actually gets that area really clean. But yeah, if you look in here, it's pretty, it gets really dirty because of all the agitation. Like this thing, even with that brush roll, still has really decent agitation. I was actually working on this during my history meeting today for class. Or no, English meeting. Luckily they didn't notice because I had myself unmuted, like it was, I could hear everything, so luckily no one really could have heard much because I was like kind of zipping away on this thing. I have the adjustment knob off right now so I can clean where it goes really nicely. It was starting to sound scratchy again. And it always sounds a little scratchy. It was like getting a little harder to move, and yeah, and that usually means there's dirt in there. That's about as good as that's gonna get. Yeah, I wish I could take this out because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of crap behind it, but I don't get too detailed in cleaning with this just because, well, I do use it fairly often, so. Ugh, hair. Luckily, this lower hose appears to be in decent condition. I've never washed it out before, so. Actually, no. When I first got this thing, I knew the motor was seized because it sat in a thunderstorm before I even picked it up out of the trash, or it was next to the trash, and we had a thunderstorm. Like, the bin was all filled up with water. That's because these things are horribly unsealed. And, so I got it. I tried spinning the brush hole, and it was completely seized. I took the brush hole off, tried spinning the motor axle, seized. Now I'm like, okay, this motor's probably done, and if I try unseizing it, the commutator's probably gonna be shot, so I ended up just literally with the hose, or actually I was using my pressure washer. This whole thing got pressure washed before I even decided to start working on it, and it sat out in my yard for a while too in a couple of thunderstorms, so it got plenty rinsed off before I even decided to do the helix motor swap. Like, even while this thing was sitting outside after I had trash picked it, it sat in my backyard for a while, I was still using the helix, so but then I'm like, you know, that thing might actually be a better machine, you know, it's just better quality. Plus, they're kind of rare. Like, these are actually kind of rare, no matter how beat up this one is, you know, with my whole for the switch back there that I drilled, with the wrong motor, wrong brush roll, you know, beat up filters, beat up bin and everything. Everything's beat up, but it's still rare to even find the parts for this thing, you know, all these blue trim pieces, this piece, all this, you know, and even once this thing totally dies, I'll probably sell it for parts, like, because people could still use this bin, you know, say someone has a Bissell 3575, or $89.75. Maybe they want to convert it to the blue color scheme. You can do that. You would just have to buy this off me. And I'll probably sell it for maybe like, I don't know, they're kind of hard to find. But the $89.90 and this, which is the $35.90, are super hard to find. So I wouldn't like completely cheap on it. And that don't really fit correctly in there anymore. This thing's not broken, but it doesn't tighten down. The screw that holds it down, the motor housing itself is stripped. So the screw just doesn't have anything to thread into anymore, so. But yeah, so that's about as clean as it's gonna get. There's still a little bit of greasy residue on there, so. And this piece, sorry, I keep getting like, gross, my hair in my mouth because I have a little too long of hair. I like my long hair, but it does get in the way sometimes. Like right now it's in the way and I can't see what I'm doing. Alright, so now, adjustment wheels, I just dust off a little bit. It doesn't have to be anything perfect as long as there's no major dirt in there. Sorry about my feet. Seems like my feet are showing up in the videos a lot. This is where the adjuster goes. At first I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing's really worn out. Look where the adjuster goes. It's all freaking beat up. And then I realized that's original. That's how it's supposed to be. I have painted the axle on this thing before, so that's good. Just once before, but it was really cheap paint that I had gotten. It was like 75 cents for that paint, so it's flaking off. But it still looks better than the axle did before, so yeah. Wheels both spin good enough. These are actually pop-on wheels. I never even noticed that. Wow. Or I have noticed that. I just never really thought about it. Because these wheels are actually decent compared to these pop-on wheels, which fall off very easily. So, or these pop-on wheels, they're okay, I guess. Clean this thing up. I haven't been using it. I actually stopped using this to use this because I was kind of in the mood to use this. Yeah, and then this, you just, it's channeled and then pops it like that. Or no, that's not for the adjuster thing, that's for the, my bad, that's for the hose to kind of sit on. So, make sure you're setting. It's the lowest setting. Yeah, okay. That's all good. Bearings are good though. I mean, no, they're really not. They need to be greased. I oiled them, but brush holes aren't really supposed to be oiled. They're supposed to be greased. So, it's not really, like, that is pretty bad actually. And these Bissell brush holes are not even worth getting bearings for. They're so cheap. You know, like the older Hoovers, those are worth getting new bearings for because those brush holes are actually kind of spendy. But this belt is okay. It's not perfect, but I didn't just replace it. This thing just kind of goes to build like these cheaper Bissells and Dirt Doubles do. Most of the newer Bissells these days are actually pretty good when it comes to that. A lot of the newer ones actually will make their belts last a while, so that's nice. I would film this, but I can't. Oh, apparently that belt does still have a little bit. So yeah, that's how that goes on, and this piece is a little bit dirty. This piece is in surprisingly good condition as well, so I could technically sell that for money too if I wanted to. just because these older cleanviews are hard to find, especially parts. Now, cleanview 2s, that's another thing. Especially the one I got, it's actually kind of common. Just, they're not common to find in condition, but they are common. Like, I've seen that the cleanview 2 that I got on eBay offer up. Mine, in particular, was on Macari. Never tried Macari before, but so far I actually like it more than eBay. Just the layout of it I like more, and yeah. Then again, Macari usually doesn't have as much. So, sorry, my mom just turned on her music. Doesn't sound like Justin Bieber. God damn it. This piece, it's got a little bit of scuffs on it, but we can get rid of whatever that sticky shit is. I don't know what that is. I might not have gotten rid of all of it, but decent bit of it. It's gonna look scratched up now because this is steel and wool, but I guess I could polish that if I really wanted to, but I'm not going to. And then this piece looks good, like I said. You know, this base alone is worth quite a bit. Make sure the adjustment is working. Luckily the pedal isn't broken on this. Is working. Last thing I need is a broken pedal, so luckily for a trash find it still works. But yeah, this top piece just got polished. I don't know what happened here. That was one of the times that I took some paint things off and I used a flathead screwdriver. Not the smartest thing I've ever done. That's because then I wasn't really concerned about this thing. I was just going to use it as a basement vacuum. But then I'm like, wait a minute, these are actually kind of rare. I mean, yeah, it's got now. Well, at first I didn't have it like that. At first I had the switch dangling out, but now it's just beat up back here because I wanted to have some fun and put it right here. But that is a little more safe. I electrocuted myself a few times because it was dangling out of oh, because I refused to electrical tape all the wires. But now it is pretty safe. I don't really know how someone could hurt themselves. You know, all the metal connections are silicone adhesive, and these wires aren't going anywhere. And the switch is siliconed around, so you can't really electrocute yourself. Plus, it's a nice switch, so. But yeah, let's put dust out of that. This was a $4 filter. I don't know why these are so expensive. And again, that was decent for a local purchase, usually. But you can get like 2 packs online for. I might buy, because you can get sets of these filters. The foam filter down there, the sponge filter down there, that one, and that one. Still $5 for the filters and $5 shipping. So $10, and that's not bad for a whole set. But then again, it might be a better bargain just to like purchase a 2-pack of each one. I wouldn't be surprised, because you can really use, you know, quite a few Bissells used this filter. I mean, that one does. And quite a few cleanviews used that. You know, the Power Tracker Evolution, the Power Track, all cleanviews of, you know, this model included. And obviously, almost every Bissell up until the recent generations used this HEPA filter on the side here. So, like, literally, they used that HEPA filter all the way up until the 1398 bagged Power Force. They didn't use it on the bagless version of the 1398, the Helix that this motor came out of, so that's okay. But obviously, the bag models, I'm pretty sure are actually, yeah, see, this is all ripped up. I don't know why. I might just have to take it out as a whole, which is probably the smart way to do it anyways. But yeah, so this I just like to dust out a little bit. Obviously, that's where the air goes down to this filter. That's the hose. I don't wash the hose on this because this already doesn't like to fit together just like the rest of this machine, so motor housing's like coming away a little bit. Torque up these screws. There's my screwdriver. That one's tight. Come on. Yeah, no, this screw. It'll just keep spinning, but I'm gonna leave it. Yep, see, there's my hair again. I'm just gonna leave it right there. But see how it's so loose that it doesn't even work properly at all. So it's just not tight enough to stop this bottom piece from spinning and just allow the top piece to spin, or however that works, I guess. But yeah. What kind of music is she listening to today? Might have to get another vacuum to vacuum this out better, but it's not really that bad. Not as bad as that Power Force Helix of mine was. Got some compressed air here. Alright, now we can put this back in. Just put it back in there as a whole. Now it's working. The seals are really loose though. Okay. These are kind of sort of washable. You're not going to completely destroy them if you wash it. Everyone's like, oh, it'll just deteriorate, but I bet you $100 I could go wash this right now and it would be fine. I washed that filter in there, and it's paper, and yeah, it got a little mushy, but as long as you don't mess with the plates, it's fine. Because obviously the plates will get mushy once they're wet. I don't know what that is. Oh, you can. Okay. Good enough. Like I said, I use this thing so it doesn't have to be perfect. I use it because it's light, it's got good suction power. It's not that loud, actually, with the Helix motor in it. For some reason, this bag door is not going back on. What am I doing wrong here? Oh, I see. I'm supposed to like almost like have it closed. Filter back in, you can see even after a little bit of use, it's pretty good. I decided I wanted to start using this more because it's not like it has the original motor in it. So my cleanview 2 I won't be using as much because it does have the original motor in it. Ew, God. See how dirty it is back in there? This is just the type of stuff that's still the original person's dirt. But I sprayed so much disinfectant spray on this thing. So all that is just dirt. There's no horrible bacteria left in it, but most bacteria dies anyways, so. See, this doesn't even like to push up all the way. Plus the cleanview 2 I'm getting, I believe, has the carrying handle right here and right here. This doesn't swivel anymore because I don't think I put this on there right. But this like washer piece here is warped. I don't really know how to this extension one doesn't really work. I just cut it so that it would fit back here so I could hold the crevice tool. I never really use the extension ones anyway. There's one shoved into the hose right here anyways, because it would normally be like a handle type thing. Like, I can show you guys here, like this one. I don't know if you guys saw that, but this hose has been washed before. But yeah, it's not that bad. It was really gross when I first got it. And for a while I had the hose rinky-dinked Jimmy rigged on here from the Helix, that hose. This is silicone adhesive on here. Don't know why I didn't just use normal glue, but this was made on the 89th day of 2002, which is kind of cool. Weird because Bissell 8990, because that would have been the model that was kind of sold next to this. I believe the 8990 was a HEPA sold model. This was not one that was sold with the HEPA, so not like these things are really meant to have good filtration. Anyways, well, Bissell thought they were just amazing with filtration, but they were not. They were probably the worst. Because those things like the, I mean, my Ultima probably has better filtration than this thing. If you guys ever wonder, my Ultima is at my grandparents' house, because it was like originally theirs, and then they kind of just said, well, it's yours, so whatever. But I just like to keep it there because it gives me a vacuum to have there. Plus, it wouldn't really fit in my collection at this house, so more of the, you know, I don't know, maybe not. I don't know. I guess it would probably look okay. This normally it's like a really porous plastic back here, but this one's like kind of a little bit different. It's like kind of smoothish. Luckily, this actually isn't too beat up in this area, but it's still got friction, so that's nice. Handle's like a different tint than the. I have this tape wrapped around here so that it doesn't hurt my fingers when I use it. I can't say it enough. I love using this thing, so it does get used quite often. But last night I finally decided this thing needs to be cleaned if I want to continue using it. Otherwise, I'm gonna blow the Helix motor in it, and if this motor dies, this thing's probably gonna go in the garbage because I can only swap so much motors into this thing. But before the thing's just like, no, I've had enough babies. Leave me alone. Worn out, loose down there. Because, I mean, this motor already wiggles around in there, and that probably hasn't helped the durability in there. Probably hasn't hurt it that much at the same time, but this motor mount is completely shot. You guys already know why there's these tall screws in here. It's to clamp it from the top, because it used to clamp it from way down in there, but that all broke, so it was just literally nothing to clamp onto. It would just go all the way in. So, there's a crack here, glue that together. And now it's cracked there, so, but it hasn't really seemed to affect anything, so. I know, guys, this is super ugly. I kind of just did it for fun, not really thinking about how ugly it is, because it's not even flush with the body. That was what my intentions were, but I didn't really have the proper tools to do it at the time. But I could probably get this whole new back panel if I wanted to. Luckily, this pedal is still good. It's a little bit, I mean, it's, I don't know, it's still got a good snap to it. It's got, it's kind of worn out, I guess. It's like kind of loose and bendy, but it is the original one, I'm assuming. I doubt they replaced it, but I can always yank the one from my 7.1Y7 if I want to. Or from this, but I wouldn't do that because it's a different one, and I probably wouldn't be able to find another one like that, so yeah, I'll probably just yank the one from this. It's the same one, or this. They all take the same thing, it's just a different style on top. But if this pedal ever breaks, I'll most likely find one of these because this is the most common one, but it will fit on there. But yeah, so we're pretty much done with this. I'm not going to turn it back into my daily driver quite yet. I'm actually going to be using the Victory for a little bit. Decided to switch to the Victory for a little while, so. I don't know where that screw's from. Looks like a drill screw. One of the ones that I took out of my drills. On with all that. Oh. Wow. Look at all the nasty snow that fell off that thing. This is what I use to polish because it's not that aggressive. we'll set this thing. We'll put it right here. Move the Kirby hose. Yep, just put it right there, next to the power room. And let's go ahead and vacuum here with the Victory, actually. Hi there, buddy. I actually don't have school tomorrow, even though we normally do on Fridays with my new end table. It doesn't have a door yet, but this has been in the family for a long time. Don't know what ever happened to the drawer in the door, but I was using this ugly ass nightstand that's wobbly as hell. Hey, buddy. You little dead thing. He's old. Don't worry. Hey, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. You're fine. He's like, all right, it's gone. Dude, isn't that hurting? You already have a bad back. Come on. Weirdo. You got this whole pillow. Why you... Whatever. I've only used this one time ever since I decided to start using this for a bit instead of the cleanview. Cleanview that we were just working on. Yeah, I also polished the hood on this one because it used to be super dull. Looks a little better now. Oh, my mom's texting me. 1 second.